Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Father's Day extravaganza. Thanks, Max. It is Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. And we're all hanging out in here talking about how crazy Canada is and the Middle East as well. Because I mean, have you been to the GTA? So welcome everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful Father's Day, and I'm glad people could make it today. I was medium worried that people were like, oh, it's Father's Day, we're gonna go do Father's Day things, and I was like, man, if there's one thing I could do on Father's Day, it would be this. So I'm glad my family facilitates me being able to do this, and I'm glad that you guys are all able to be here too. So it's nice to see you all. Since we've last met, the last time we met was June 1st, so half a month has gone by. We still don't have a budget or a pathway to a budget. We've had some confidence votes that have passed on division. We've had confidence votes that nobody voted on that passed, and everybody seems fine with this. So that's weird. What else has happened? Trump had. I thought the No Kings thing was going to be. Remember the first Trump administration when they burned down like the chop zone in Seattle and all of the crazy other stuff that happened. I think they were going to try and kick that off, and I think that Trump was like, you know what? Not this time. Done. Cut it off. But I've heard people talking about Trump and his military parade, saying, he's a tyrant and he's a king or whatever. This No King thing, bullshit. Saying all this stuff, and I looked at what happened yesterday, and I mean, I didn't see Trump acting any other way than he normally acts. So I don't know. So how have you guys been? What do you guys think about what's going on? Where do you guys want to start?
Yeah, I think a great Father's Day event this year is we're going to go and watch the cars burn. And
yeah,
go sit on the curb
Are
there.
some cars on fire? This is something fun to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's always fun to do.
Maybe there'll be ice cream.
This is the first annual event.
Yeah, for real. Let's go out and watch cars burn just because, riots and things. I thought that honestly, with the ramp up to the LA riots that happened last week and the build up through the week and the mainstream media kind of putting this into a context where we're supposed to believe that the riots are positive, like a net positive, and the Trump administration law and order is a net negative. We're supposed to just go along with that, and that's a weird thing altogether. Hello,
Well, I think
James
it
Bond.
was. Yeah, I think it was. Well, I've been watching a little bit here and there, but it's been actually nice seeing the police and the military in the U.S. there.
Mm-hmm.
They're pelting Antifa. Antifa's getting what they deserve.
They're comeuppance.
For all these years, it's been the right trying to, hey, you know what, guys, like, get off the road, let people pass. Now it's rubber bullets.
Mm-hmm.
And all these Antifa out of shape people are running away,
Mm-hmm.
complaining, and then having a temper tantrum.
Yep.
I will say, like, these riots in LA are like the biggest ad for like mass deportations in my lifetime. This is like the biggest ad for like, let's get these illegals gone.
Yeah.
Like, screw it.
Yeah, I would have to agree. There are things that are happening that are well outside of most people's tolerance level, and like the tolerance level has been changed from the early 2000s, just to pick a date, to now. Like, people would never have tolerated. Well, even the Danforth shooting, when that happened, people were very upset about that, right? Sorry, Noel, what'd you say?
I was just saying, there's no way in the world we would have tolerated this 20 years ago.
I think
There's no way in the world, man. Like, and even in the Danforth shooting, but nobody understands what the whole motive behind that was.
I agree, but the whole reason we tolerated it at the time was because it was obfuscated behind mental health. There was a media blackout. There was all sorts
Also,
of
we
things.
hadn't seen anything like that before. Like, it was pretty new thing at that time.
And that's why I thought this is gonna light a fire under people. We're gonna stop this insanity, right? Because you can see, because the United Kingdom, England, is 5-10 years ahead of us, right? The rape gangs are just getting started in Canada, right? And they're just pulling an inquiry in England. So we can see what's happening. And I honestly thought, what was it, 2016, 17, when that happened, that like, oh man, like the adults are going to come back into the room now. Nothing. If anything, the right got browbeat and told, like, don't you dare notice this. Don't you dare notice. Yes, he's Islamic,
Well,
but he's
that's
got
when-
mental health issues. It's like, no.
That's when they shut Faith Goldie up.
Yep. Well, and part of it is
Well, I guess
going-
when Charlottesville happened.
which one?
Charlottesville. That's
Oh, yeah.
that's on the same time that happened.
Yeah.
Which
but,
which is used to demonize the right.
yes. But it's also important. So like Faith Goldie was allowed to run, but they knew she was not going to win. And it was a humiliation ritual to show other people, like, if you try to fix this or to do what Faith Goldie's doing using her type of rhetoric, this is what we're going to do to you. And that was kind of the point I was trying to make. Like, look at our elections; they're rigged. The rules around equal advertising are worthless because they don't apply. Like, if they decide that Faith Goldie is a mean person who, you know, we don't like, well, they can just remove her ability to advertise on Rogers and Bell, and nothing you can do about it. Like, nothing anybody can do about it. And so, like, it was a humiliation ritual, I think, that they went through and tried to use to, like, you know, drive their point home. And they'll do it again and again and again, as many times as people will sign up for it, I think. Thanks, guys. MC's got his hand up, so MC.
Yeah, well, I heard actually a mainstream reporter say it, like, in the same sentence, that the riots were violent but peaceful. Like,
It's the same rhetoric as in the chop zones. Like, do you remember? And I remember this vividly.
Mostly peaceful, fiery but mostly peaceful.
Yes, yeah. I remember it so vividly because the guy looked like a reasonable teacher, looked like a clean-cut guy with, you know, like, regular guy. He looked like somebody you'd build a sitcom around, right? And he's standing there saying, arson is bad. But when you light a building on fire because you really believe in what you're saying, it can be peaceful. And I was like, what the like, these people are insane. They're completely round the bend insane.
they are insane.
They're insane. There's no
Yeah.
way to you can't talk sense into these people.
No, it's like saying that, look at my big giant armed gang marching past in all their regalia is a sign of weakness. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're just making stuff up. As for, like, the riots not really working out, like, getting pelted by the cops is part of it, sure. But also, could it be that they have, like, less money than they had in the past?
Yeah. Well, so the old folks, like, there was footage, and maybe I should use it for tomorrow's show because I kind of described it in today's show, but it's impactful to watch. It's old folks, just like the people who are coming and supporting these protests are people who still watch the mainstream media, and that demographic is 65, 70 plus. Like, there aren't young families, there aren't people our age, by and large, watching the mainstream media anymore. They lie about everything. Everything. And so the only people who don't question anything are the people who are trapped in old age homes, who are being fed this pablum every single day by television, and they believe
Well,
it.
And fed worse things too. Like you hear stories every few years about the terrible conditions. I don't know why they like, you know, the system that is, you know, putting these workers in that abuse them and give them terrible food and stuff like that.
A different era, I think. But yeah, that's something to examine. But I think that there's some kind of guilt complex. I don't know. I'm not sure why they would tolerate it. I don't know. But
I don't know, but if I see a crowd of old people, I'm going to go bust some heads. I'll tell you that.
Sure. Sounds good, man. I don't know, man. When I was a kid, my granddad, we were in England. My granddad was old enough to be walking with a cane, but he was still pretty spry. And there was a couple of kids who were giving a woman a hard time across the road. And we were all walking, getting ice cream or something like this. This is in like a beach town, touristy type deal. And these kids were, again, giving this woman a hard time, and they were littering. And my grandfather ran across the street and dealt with it, and they picked up their litter. And so, like, there was a generation who was like, I'm not going to stand here and let this happen. And, like, he legged it across the street, cane and all, and he threatened them with the cane. And I think he bopped one of them and was like, if I have to put this cane down, you are going to regret it. And they picked up their crap, and they stopped bothering the woman, and they moved off. And so, like, it didn't really matter to him if anybody had his back. He was just like, I'm not gonna stand here and let this happen, right? And at the time, the police weren't going to arrest him for that. You know what I mean? Like, if anybody came around, the people who would be arrested are the kids. But I mean, they weren't really doing anything to warrant arresting, I guess. But at the same time, they were needing to be corrected into the society, and we don't do that anymore, right? Now, if kids are being ridiculous, you go up and say, hey, you know, don't you dare do that. Somebody's mom is going to come up and call the cops on you, and it's like, wait, what?
Look, another issue with that is, like, even if the cops, like, like say, yeah, you're fine. Like social media's a thing, and the lynch mob will come for you.
Oh yeah.
Just give it time. It's worse now than it's ever been.
Yeah. Just try saying that man can't be a woman.
There are only two genders.
Holy
Uh-oh.
smoke! Ah! People would get you. And it's
I would also say that though, if you look back at our society, you know, that 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years ago, I remember being about 14 years old in Famous Players movie theater, and I watched this guy completely whack, like hand back and smack his girlfriend in public. And nobody other than me and two of my friends, which we were little 14-year-old bastards, did anything. Right.
Yep.
And I don't need to go into what happened, but needless to say, the person was on the floor and the wife and the daughter, you know, walked away, and hopefully they walked away from that relationship because, and like, I'm not saying it used to happen a lot, but in the greater Toronto area growing up, it wasn't uncommon to see that kind of blatant, treatment of the opposite sex. But in the same sense, though, it was nice when grandpa or a neighbor would come out and, you know, correct the neighborhood kids from being dumb, you know, like breaking bottles or whatever. You know what I mean? So there is a fine line. Like I was that sort of the bad kid that got corrected by his neighbors and smartened up and learned how to act right. And I was also that kid that smartened people up in public because I wasn't going to tolerate somebody, you know, backhanding a woman in public. But I'll never forget it because it shocked me. And what shocked me was you're in a movie theater, like you're getting popcorn and stuff like that, and not a man around was going to do nothing.
Do you know why? Do you know why? I want to just examine why. Do you know why? So there's a couple of reasons. Like one, we're trained to not intervene in things like that. In a mall or in a public situation, by and large, we're trained to sit back and not do anything. The bystander effect. Somebody else will deal with it. Maybe, you know, this situation is warranted. Maybe I don't know enough about what's going on. You know what I mean? Like I am not the right person to step in on this. We've been trained to not do that. So it used to be that our culture rewarded us for upholding our culture. So, hey kid, you don't break windows here. You're going to work that off. You're going to, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then that's a policing of the culture. You're not going to go this far. But now we've been told diversity is our strength, blah, 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 blah. You don't know what this other person's gone through. Maybe that's their culture. Maybe that's how they deal with things. And it's like, well, not here. You don't. Not here. We don't do that. But now that's been broken. That's why. And schools are used to reinforce this. Kids are taught to sit down and do nothing until they're told to do something by the teacher. And I heard a story about a kid in a school being yelled at by a teacher in front of the rest of the class for a prolonged period of time. And I said, like, how long do you think that the kid was being yelled at, to the person who was telling me the story? And they said 5 minutes. I said, they said more than 5 minutes, less than 10 minutes. And I said, wow, that's a long time. And I said,
really long time.
And I said, if ever, because this was, I don't want to give away who it was. So like we were at a dinner and somebody brought it up and I was like, I'm very interested in hearing more about this. Can you please? And I said, if ever anybody did that to you in any other circumstance, would you tolerate that or would you get up and leave? Like, would you stand there and be browbeat by somebody who like maybe had authority over you, but like was being an a-hole about it? And they said no. And I said, well, why did you tolerate it in the class? And like, did any of the other kids say anything? Nobody said anything, and they just sat there. And I was like, next time, get up and leave. Like next time, as soon as that happens, just get up and leave, walk out.
But where we're at now as a society is okay. Yeah, you don't see the physical altercations in society, but you don't have anybody standing up saying what's going on in society is completely wrong.
Is effed up. Is totally inverted.
It's just further down the scale or further down the path that. You know, we used to be like this, and we were taught don't speak up and all the rest. And now all of a sudden, here we are 20 years later. Oh, don't speak up. A good Canadian doesn't say anything.
Yep, it's cultural training, and we're in a situation where we are forced to accept worse and worse behavior by our peers and by our fellow citizens and things like that because. Bad policies again. And I mean, like, there are real consequences to this. We have honor killings in Mississauga, like and no way to correct, because if you correct it, well, that's racist, right? The honor killing is not, but saying that's bad in Canada, that's racist. Okay. Crazy town, right? That's weird. That's a weird place to be. And that, I mean, the ongoing invasion, what's the percentage of people in Toronto who were born in Toronto? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it
I would love to know.
50%? Is it 60%? And like, at what point
I don't know.
do you lose something like the GTA? Like, at what point is that no longer really Canadian? Like, are we there already? Like, I don't think that our politicians represent us. Do they represent the people here, though? Like, do they represent the people in Canada? Is Canada honestly voting for what's going on right now? Or is it our elections rigged and we're just being flooded with a whole bunch of people to kind of obfuscate the fact that our politicians don't listen to us at all? Or is it bigger? It might be bigger than that, too. MC? Thanks, Noel.
It seems to me the people that are getting influence and stuff in our systems and stuff like that are people that care more about having influence in our systems. I heard a story this week. I come to a place that I come to once a year, and the guy remembered me from last year, and he's like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, and he's telling me this story about getting his family member maneuvered through the healthcare system because he knew someone, and he phoned the person that he knew and said, hey, can you maneuver my family member who needs this special treatment into the special treatment? And they're from the same place, right? So his family member got
Alberta?
helped out in no.
Try again.
Wrong continent.
Gotcha. England.
But because right, and I said, okay, that's called queue jumping, right? We don't kind of like that. At the same time, you love your family member. You did what you felt obligated to do to help your family member, right? That person feels a stronger obligation to their family, than to the system, right? An obligation that overrides their complacency and willingness to just sit there and go, well, I paid for the system and the system's helping you, so I'll just let it help you, right? And so at the same time, I don't like queue jumping, but I can't really fault the person that loves their family member and tries to help them. Even though they're technically corrupt, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's all corrupt. We're all like, it's a situation where everything is corrupt. And I mean, having a
don't hate the player, hate the game.
Well, that's it, right? If you
hate the game, because the system is gamed to allow that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and encourage,
right?
that's.
You can't fault anybody for trying to help family, but in the end, you can fault the system for allowing that to happen.
Right, because it's extending it out from healthcare to immigration, right? Somebody says, well, my family comes from a place that doesn't have as robust healthcare as here, and sure, the healthcare here is shit, but at least there is healthcare here. And so I'm helping my family by jumping the immigration queue and bringing them here through whatever means necessary. I'm going to go pick them up at Roxham Road or whatever it is, right? And then they're going to get healthcare, right? And so I understand your sentiment, MC. I get it. I get what you're saying, and we're all stuck in this crap sandwich of a situation. It applies that the game is rigged against people who are here, the people who paid into the system, built the system. It's rigged against anybody who's playing quote unquote fair, anybody who's playing the game in an honest way, because the game's being played dishonestly at such a scale that you can't win if you play honestly. Like if you play honestly, you're probably going to die on a waiting list. You know what I'm saying?
It's not just that though. It's that, like, most of us, right? Your loved one goes to the healthcare system and you just go, well, the healthcare system knows what it's doing, right? And that's it. This person actually picks up the phone and phones someone who's not, directly related to this case, but they have a position within the healthcare system with some influence, and gets the person with the influence to go, like, look at the specific case and go, aha, this bed just got vacated, but it's still not vacated in the computer yet. So we'll just slot this guy into the bed because I'm an official in the healthcare
because
system.
I can do it. Yeah.
Right. And because someone made some noise, right? Where like if I find out that my family member has gone to the hospital, what do? I don't know what to do. I don't know who to call. Right. So I don't
call your contact at the hospital.
I don't have one.
Well, get on it, man. Why not? You're not
trust
playing the right game here. It's yeah,
I'm
no,
not.
that's so like in that situation, what you're describing, and Noel said it already, like hate the system, not the player, right? Like and I mean, most people aren't as engaged as that. Most people, you're right, like they're not plugged into the situation where they're like, hey, I know somebody, even on things where they should be plugged into a situation where they're like, maybe their brother-in-law is a lawyer or something like that, and then they show up without a lawyer or something. You know what I mean? Like people do not take care of themselves at a basic level a lot of the time. So somebody who does take care of themselves and their family and is able to navigate the system, I'm not going to vilify that person. I'm not trying to vilify that person. It sucks that our system is so broken that that's an acceptable workaround that people need to use to get acceptable healthcare. We should fix that problem, right? Isn't it our responsibility to fix that problem? Why is Mark Carney giving money to friggin' Ukraine? Like what a traitor. Like honestly, it doesn't make any sense. It's insane. So like there's so many problems in Canada that we could start fixing, but we're not fixing any of them because we're importing people and doing whatever Europe says, rearming Europe for some reason. I don't know. So it's, yeah, we're in a bad way. And the solution is more communism currently.
Well, the biggest story in Alberta this week is hockey games.
It's rigged too, man. I hate it, but it is. It's so rigged. Like Toronto hasn't won a Stanley Cup since 1967. And I have to say it's not by accident. You know what I mean? Like I watched some of those Florida games and Florida's a great team. Don't get me wrong. Florida's a great team. With McDavid and the Oilers are a really good team too. But Toronto, 2 Stanley Cups ago, like not this one, not 25, 24, I think, or maybe 23, Toronto scored a tying goal and everybody just said, and the game went on like they didn't score a goal. And everybody was like, and then they lost. And that was that. And like there are penalties that don't get called for Toronto, high sticking, all sorts of stuff that don't get called for Toronto. And they do get called for Florida. And then the same crap is happening now in the Oilers games. I'm not watching as closely, but it's one of those, and not like it's June for crying out loud. We shouldn't be watching a Stanley Cup final in June. Come on. Like this is a winter sport. Anyway, I digress. They changed it from 5 games to 7 games and it's all stupid. Anyway, sorry, Ryan.
Yeah. Also, they go to Game 7 because that gives them more money. So they're gonna go to Game 7 all the time through the playoffs.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The only reason it wouldn't.
More money for products like the one game, the Panthers guy, they had a big fight, dudes punching each other. Already the next game, they had a T-shirt with his face on it, right? Big beard.
Yep.
And people were buying it up.
Yep. Yeah, it's all money. We're all being manipulated. Have you seen the NFL stuff? The sticky gloves and the magnetic gloves, like the footballs are all magnetic and sticky, and like the gloves make it near impossible to not catch the damn football. It's insane. The levels of cheating on professional sports. Nobody should be able to bet on this. It's a pageant. It's like worse than the WWF because people believe it's real. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yep.
It's so weird because it's like when you read a book, like a science fiction book or something, like the good guy is going to win in the end.
Yep.
And this, you're watching a story and someone wrote the end already, but you don't know if the good guy is going to win or not.
Well,
which is kind of the
hold on.
weird twist.
Who's the good guy? No, because always the good guys win, but you have to wonder who's the good guy in their story.
It's me.
It's no. We're the alt-right, man. We're the bad guy in the story. The good guy in the story
is only good guy.
Well, whose story are we reading?
Only
here?
One. I don't know what your guys' purpose is.
Yeah, well,
I'll leave it at that.
Yes, the recording's on, Kenzie. We're all good. This is getting a little esoteric, MC. We're getting a little, because fundamentally I agree with you. Like, I am the prime driver of my story, and you guys are supporting characters, but you are the prime drivers of your own story, and we're all supporting characters, right? So like that's absolutely 100% true, and I think that's true in practice too, but it's difficult to explain. So we'll have to talk on another podcast about it.
I wouldn't be a real narcissist if I didn't question the relevance of everybody else's story.
So why are you here again? Oh, it's funny. What else? Have we talked about Trump's military stuff? Do we want to talk more about that, or how about Polyev and his now all of a sudden realization that we should not have immigration, or we should cool it on immigration? What was his?
Well,
go ahead. Go ahead. Mike.
sorry, go on.
Well, his rhetoric was,
um,
we need a stop on it, or we need a not. He didn't even go as far as a pause. He didn't even say that. Just a reduction, a big reduction.
I don't know why anyone is surprised by it, because throughout the time that at least I've been watching Polyev in the House of Commons, whenever big issues and the right come up, he is always a fence sitter until he knows like what's the right side to choose that will get him the most votes and attention.
Mm-hmm.
He was like this way with the trucker convoy, because that's how he got his position.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the same with immigration, and probably he will be the same with fucking Alberta oil and like supply and demand and whatever issue will come up next. It's just how he is.
Yeah,
That's what I think personally.
Yeah, I feel like the CPC. Well, that's one of the big criticisms, is that they do it by polls and focus groups and things like that, right? It's very frustrating because you don't get an actual response about something. You don't get an actual like, this is what I think about something. You get 3 weeks of waiting while they poll the population, and it's not enough, man. It's very, very concerning. I don't know. And so I think Polyev I think they're going to remove him. I think they're going to usher him out like they ushered out Aaron O'Toole, honestly.
I thought that, but at the same time, I haven't seen the CPC actually be this popular, like at least in my lifetime. It hasn't been this popular, at least to like Joe Normie Canadian. And it hasn't been like as popular as it is now. So as much as I believe that, I don't know if they would now necessarily. I think they give him another election to fail, and then they oust him.
Yeah, maybe. I think Jason Kenney's he's making noises to be the next.
That's fair. I'm just saying from like my perspective, I don't see them ousting him now, especially when all the momentum seems to be behind him, and when all the Normie conservatives are saying this is the guy that can beat Carney. So I think they'll hold off for at least a little bit longer. But I think his day will come. So
if he loses the election, if he loses the
absolutely
Alberta election, he's gone. And it's a pretty safe conservative seat. It would be surprising if he lost the election. I don't think it's been called yet. From what I understand, it hasn't been called yet. But it's an interesting situation. I agree with you that I think there seems to be a lot of wind in his sails, but I think that we saw his peak 2 weeks before the election, maybe, and since then it's been harder and harder for people to get on board with him. And I mean, if you look at the responses nationally, it's not as strong as it was, if that makes sense.
I also just think I agree. I also just think he is the best they got, because Kenney has torched any goodwill in Alberta, Ford in Ontario.
Yep.
Who else do they have in Parliament? Do you want Rempel in there? Because I don't want Rempel in there. I don't think anybody here wants Rempel in there. Like Leslyn Lewis. Like who else do they realistically? Who else do they have?
Nobody. Well, that's it. Realistically, at this point, though, I don't want to see any of the people who have been running things.
Oh, I agree.
Running anything.
I'm mostly just saying from like the normie conservative perspective.
Yeah.
Who else do they have?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they've got a lot of what is it? Not Indigenous. They've got a lot of Sikhs. They got a lot of Sikh. They do have a lot of Sikh candidates. They've got a lot of, and the Sikhs have a lot of power. So, and do you know why Polyev went balls deep in on the Sikhs? Do you know why? This is my speculation.
I don't.
GTA. He wanted to combat the Toronto numbers with Gurdwara numbers from Brampton and like the broader GTA, like that Mississauga band, Brampton, Mississauga, all that stuff. I think that he wanted to feasibly be able to compete, and he viewed that as the way to do it, because if you can get 15, 16 seats in that area, then the Liberals don't
That
get
can
it.
at least yeah.
It could blunt their effectiveness, right?
Well, that just comes back to the issue of like we need electoral reform.
Oh, totally.
When like the GTA controls the country, like it's cooked.
Yeah, the country's cooked. Yeah. I don't know that electoral reform will do it unless the electoral reform is people walking in and arresting the current government.
Yeah.
And then setting up a brand new government that has nothing to do with the old government. That's the kind of electoral reform I think we need, unfortunately. Thanks, Max. MC.
Well, you hit exactly on what my first thought was about the immigration and stuff like that. So Modi gets invited to Alberta for the G7, and then the Khalistani branch of the Conservatives says, "Oh, maybe having foreign people wander into Canada whenever the government wants isn't such a good idea after all."
Yeah, well, but at the same, there's concerns about Modi's safety, I guess, about a radical group of people trying to take this opportunity to attack him or something like that. And so I don't know how valid those concerns are. I've just noticed people talking about that in the last couple of days. And I thought that was interesting. And the Conservatives, I think that the Conservatives, maybe they're being used because the Conservatives are using the Sikhs and the Indians to further their ability in Ontario, basically. If we have conservative people who have these communication networks through their gurdwaras that, white people don't do that anymore, I guess, then we can reasonably combat the Liberals. But at the same time, the Sikhs were using the CPC for power, right? And which one's bigger? You know what I mean? The CPC thinks they're bigger, but maybe secretly the Sikhs think they're bigger, right? And so, do you lose the Conservative Party to become a mostly Sikh party? I don't know.
Well, numerous times in my life, I've definitely heard people that are not from North America saying how, look, we're going to out-reproduce you and we're
Yes.
taking over, right?
Yep.
So there is an attitude coming in that of people saying there are millions of us, right? And we can
Having
bring in millions
babies,
more people.
and you're not.
And we have more kids, right? Yeah, and we are replacing you now. That's an attitude I've run into for more than 15 or 20 years.
Yeah, well, it's become much more in your face and much more like na, and because it's too late. It's like you're losing a backgammon game, and you can see the other guy's stack filling up with backgammon tiles, and you don't have any, and you're like, man, I got to get some backgammon tiles in there, and you get 2 in there, and you're like, that's not enough, right? We're having 2 babies, and they're having 20, and it's like we're losing demonstrably, really obviously, and not that we're not responding. We don't even know we're playing backgammon, baby. We don't get it.
Yeah, well, and there's no. Wherever they're meeting, there's no freedom of movement for miles and miles around. That Kananaskis area is away from towns, right? And they've got it totally locked down. It's been on the mainstream media. They've closed all the campgrounds and stuff that are too close and everything like that. No one's going to be allowed to drive even down the road towards it. Yeah, it's like
Modi's in no danger, is what you're saying.
Yeah, there's no danger, and you could have I don't know. The wrong person, I guess you could say, could have nuked Davos in 2015. Nobody did.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and here we are.
Like Putin could have nuked Davos if he wanted to.
Yeah, that would have been a good idea.
They're all hanging out in Bilderberg right now, right? Bilderberg in Stockholm, Sweden. Which, I mean, if Putin nuked Stockholm, Sweden, that might be big news, right? That.
Yes.
That might cause some conflict. All right, fair enough. I'm not advocating for anybody to nuke anybody. We're just speculating about world politics, and well,
I did say it would have been the wrong person.
Who's the right person?
Yeah, and what is their phone number?
How do we talk to them? Thanks, MC. Rod?
Yeah, I was about to say the same, but on that note, everything's such a controlled environment. It's very easy to pull off a managed production.
Look at
of
this
sorts if they need it.
Look,
I don't know, that's way out there, but
here's the alt-right. They're coming in on hand gliders. from Alberta. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like,
with
it's
turbans.
unbelievable.
And
We've
they
never
took
seen
their
this before.
passports on the way in.
I'm just saying, right? And I mean, as unlikely as it sounds, I agree, it sounds unlikely. But there are situations. Did you ever see the movie Clue, where people get invited to places and nobody's expecting a murder mystery, but then all of a sudden, it's the butler and somebody's got a lead pipe, and
In Kananaskis, they're more likely to be having an orgy, to be quite honest. And we don't have the Iron Dome set up, so anything could happen, right?
So, okay, we have to talk about that for a brief, quick second.
Well, that's why I wore my Star Wars shirt, right?
Yeah, no, solid. After the Iron Dome collapses, we're going to spend $62 billion. Like, Iron Dome collapsed yesterday under the Iranian attack into Israel, right? So now in Canada, we're going to spend $60 billion to join an already defunct, out of date system that we don't even really need for the Golden Dome.
I don't know how you do all North America anyway. So to me, it'd always be a city state thing. Mm-hmm. So maybe Edmonton will get one to keep people out. Calgary, more like that hunting. What that dumb movie that came out? I forget what they all had force fields over the cities.
Oh, there was a show called The Dome.
Hunting Games.
Oh, Hunger Games? No, Hunger Games. Hunting Games.
Hunger Games. Yeah. In a Dome Truman Show, right? They'll throw us on a. Anyway, I'll see.
All sorts of stuff happening there. Oh man, you said something and I was going to respond, and then we started talking about domes. I can't remember what it was though. Thanks, Ron.
Wasn't Hunger Games?
You wanted to hit the Iron Dome.
Oh yeah, the
Thunder Dome.
The Golden Dome. Thanks, Max. You did remind me. The Golden Dome and the Iron Dome. Well, the Iron Dome is protecting Israel basically with American tech, right? It's a missile defense system, basically, right? If there's missiles coming in, their Iron Dome will take out the missiles coming in, and it fails at a certain point, right? If it gets overwhelmed, it fails. And so it seems like an obvious evolution to use the space lasers that they used to create the fires in Hawaii to be the Golden Dome, right? Like, oh, look at this technology we got. Who needs like a conventional system? Let's use lasers. And they've already got the plane mounted lasers. They've already got these ship mounted lasers. You know what I'm saying? Like where they can take out the incoming ballistic missiles in 8 seconds or something like that. Like the ballistic missile appears on the radar, and 8 seconds after that, it's dealt with as far as with the laser, right? And it's just a heat thing. It targets the thrusters, and then the missile just crashes into the sea, and maybe it blows up, maybe it doesn't, who knows. And so that's interesting to me. But my concern then is if you've got something like lasers, space lasers mounted on a plane, and you're like, we've got a terrorist here, and he's definitely worse than, a bomber or something like that. And we know his location. We're going to use a space laser as a domestic tool to make sure that terrorists or the alt-right don't get too far ahead in their whatever they're trying to do. I feel like it's a bad move, like the movie Eagle Eye, where they hand over control of these domestic weapons to an AI that can then, and just like Hal can read your lips, like if you think that you've taken precautions to make sure you're safe, Hal reads your lips and he knows exactly what you're going to do, right? So like the AI knows and can like act. I don't know. I worry about the Golden Dome, and I think they're going to use it to not keep us safe, but instead to attack us and to keep us in line. And then, just like in The Village, I don't know why all my cultural references are coming out today, but in The Village, they use the M. Night Shyamalan movie. The elders of the village use the monster as a way to keep the villagers in line, so they know the monster's fake. The monster's them. They go and kill the villagers every so often when they need proof that the monster's bad. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll kill this guy. And they know that the monster's fake, but they use the monster to keep the villagers in check. And I think that we'll use the Golden Dome and be like, oh man, it was it was Oceania. We've always been at war with Oceania. Obviously, we're going to go to war with Oceania again because those mean Oceanians took over our Golden Dome and killed this guy or whatever. And like, that's the kind of stuff I'm worried about. I feel like we're going to be lied to, and giving them more technology to lie to us. The noble lie. Yeah, you're right, Ron. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, we have to keep telling them this because otherwise they'd revolt, and we can't abide that. This maintains our power, and so we keep doing it. Yeah, that's what's happening. Ron, do you want to finish off? Like, go ahead. I think I was talking to you.
Well, I want to say, like, to the I don't want to hang all the people that are in on it, Noel. But going to the noble lie, I think there's a lot of people that know the plan and think, they are doing the best for the world, and it's the noble lie, right? It's the means to the end.
They believe
And,
climate change. They believe climate change
they
is
got to
real.
get us from A to B because we're going to destroy ourselves and we'll never get to Mars. And people will never accept the change. So this is just how it's got to be. And those people, I have a problem with those people.
Yeah,
But
well, and I think that's exactly right, because it gives them the cover that they need to act as genocidal as they want, covered by, nobody would listen to this anyway, and I'm doing what needs to be done for this, for the good of mankind, despite these, unfortunate people being killed or whatever. Yeah, thanks, man. Steve.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man.
Going back about 20 minutes, hidden in plain sight sort of thing. The communal system of power and influence. I grew up in Ottawa, and I'm back now. There's this place called Rockcliffe Park, and it is the highest priced multi-million-dollar homes surrounded all around the Prime Minister's lands and everything, the Attorney General, that whole area. Multi-billion, even Bill Gates has a place there. Like, if
Really?
you don't think that those
you
people
think-
don't have hot, go ahead.
Do you think there's tunnels connecting the houses?
No, it's not so much like that. If you don't think that those people have, $1 million garden parties and everybody's involved, you're sadly mistaken. I went to a graduation of one of my stepkids just a few years ago, and it was in Rockcliffe Park. And man, there was RCMP patrol. They control the whole neighborhood. It's one of those hidden in plain sights, and all the embassies around there, multi-million-dollar gated communities. And it's been going on for a long time. And people just, you ride your mountain bike through there and you're like, wow, they have their own trail system. They have it is elitist to the core.
Yeah.
And if you don't think there's a bunch of money and huge influence and power sitting in this town, you're so sadly mistaken. It's anyway, that was the point I was trying to make. When you look around and they all say elitist, Laurentians, this did it. Well, you know what? You could just feel it in the air. You could just, it is palpable. Like I did a few roofs in there and next to Gates' place, and I had cops coming by every half hour just checking in on me because I'm just a tradesman dirtbag helping out my roofing friend. But if you don't think there's the eye in the sky is crazy there, and the control, and why, and nobody asks the question why.
Well,
and then if you think you're not getting rid of these foreign embassies and all this stuff, well, you aren't, because they own that land. They own it all. They're not going anywhere. So that was my 2 cents spit on the ground kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
That's all.
Right? And I'm not even really being funny about tunnels and things like that. There were tunnels found at the Playboy Mansion. There's tunnels found in all sorts. And I mean, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, there's some whole cities in Turkey that are underground but side of mountains and things like that. And so it's a very, there's different levels of tunnels for different reasons.
I'm just saying it's right in front of you.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay,
and
I
people
ride my
don't
mountain
even
bike through, and all of a sudden there's an RC just kind of tailing me because he probably knows all the kids on their mountain bikes. I'm just cruising through the neighborhood, right? I'm looking at houses. We're doing little wheelies and tricks. I'm showing my friend from the coast, and he's like, "Look at these places." And I said, "This is the Bill Gates place, and this is and look, we'll go to the Chinese embassy to look at that fucking thing, and now look at the Saudi embassy, and right next to Foreign Affairs for some reason, right across the street, and." You know what I mean? Anyway, so I'm not all conspiracy. I'm just saying it's right there in front of you.
Yeah.
It's right there. And if you think you're getting rid of it, you're like, man, you're sadly mistaken.
But
there is too much power and money there.
Yeah.
Right?
So when people look at that and they think, well, that makes sense. That's the Saudi, the Saudi ambassadorship or that building, and that makes sense that this is this person's house, and that makes sense. So it's hidden in plain sight because of our expectations about what government is and what these, the circles these people move in and the money they've got, and so on and so forth. And then you can't even imagine that it's maybe not that at all. You know what I mean?
But if they're so cool, why do they need 16-foot Iron Gates and RCMP patrol? Like,
Yeah.
what's the deal there?
Yeah, what's going on?
You know what I mean?
Gotta wonder.
Okay, you're that important.
Ryan
Okay, but
Gosling doesn't need police to keep him safe. Right?
Mel Gibson let his house burn down while he was traveling. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Mel Gibson. I saw a video of Mel Gibson talking to a guy changing a tire. The guy, and he's like,
Yeah.
The guy, and Mel
Yeah.
Gibson's like, hey, man, like, guys, like, do you mind if I record this? And he was like, yeah, I
Yeah.
guess so. You know, I'm changing your tire,
Yeah,
but all right,
whatever.
you record it. And then like he's talking, you guys are like, why don't you have security? He's like, I don't know, I'm just a dude, man. Like,
Yeah.
I was just driving,
That's
trying to
like
help you out.
That's like Keanu Reeves hacking butts outside of some place, and
Mhm.
people are asking him for change and shit, and
Yeah.
you know, like, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my point.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
let you go. That was
Yeah,
enough.
cheers, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve. MC.
Well, I have to adopt some mock outrage about our attitude towards lasers because, like, the government can just have lasers to shoot at whatever it wants. But, like, if you point a laser at an airplane guy, he might get blind, and then so you can't do that. But you can use a laser rangefinder, and you can put a red dot on your on whatever's still legal, maybe, right? But, like, I don't know. Our attitude, we're being really hypocritical about lasers. I think we need to encourage the use of lasers. Yeah, I don't like this two-tier justice where the government can make big, giant powered lasers. And what are they going to power them with? Like batteries?
Well, it's just powered with the plane. Listen, the green revolution thing, everybody going to battery packs and things like that, that's just for us poors. The people in charge will keep gas-powered SUVs because they work. And they're a lot more versatile than the electric ones. So they'll say, you have to use the electric ones because of the scale, you see. And we are going to use these because national security is at stake. You understand? And so there's not enough metal in the world. There's not enough precious metals and lithium and cobalt to make the amount of cars, or the amount of batteries we need, because there's millions of cars on the road. Right? You can't replace all of those cars with electric cars. It's not mathematically possible. We'd have to mine 600 times more copper than we've ever mined in all of the history of humanity to actually get the copper we need. It's not possible. They know it's not possible. They're going to drive. They're going to drive us to transit.
Yes, the Golden Dome is going to be way better than the Iron Dome because gold has a higher molecular weight. That's like a lot denser than gold and more malleable. So it just kind of bounces back when it gets utterly destroyed by
the Iranians. Darn.
Yeah,
I was led to
the Iranians. What a paradox the Iranians are. Like, on the one hand, their drones are really dangerous when they give them to the Russians to use in Ukraine. But when they fire them at Israel, then they're old and slow and they're easy to take out. Yep. Like, what?
Yep.
Like, and the Iranians, secretly really good aeronautical engineers, but their customs service can't stop Israel from like hiding a bunch of drones in Iran to fire at their airfields.
I thought that
like,
was
what
very
are you talking
interesting.
about? Yeah, it just seems all made up. The whole thing, every point of it contradicts some other part.
Thank you. So at the beginning of the Ukrainian war, how much footage of the war did we have? Like nothing. We had video game footage. We had absolutely nothing for weeks and months. This happens next day. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, look at this. Firsthand footage. I think to myself, we're watching a show. We're watching what they want us to watch. We're being bombarded with the propaganda that they want in order for us to have something make sense in the future or whatever, and maybe war, who knows. But this is not honest. What's happening is a show. We're being misled by this, even though everybody says this is 100% real, this is 100% what's going on, definitely for sure, 100%, yes.
Well, and last year when they fired at each other, I seem to remember them saying, like, yeah, Iran fired their missiles and they'll be in Israel in a few hours. Yeah. Like, what are you talking?
Yeah.
Like, it's not
it was
that
super
far.
Slow missiles. Yeah, for real. Yep. There was a lot of weird stuff, and there's a lot of weird stuff. And so all of the stuff that doesn't make sense and all the stuff that doesn't add up, it just starts to stack up. And again, like, I'm just a skeptical guy who says, like, I don't believe a lot of that. And I mean, maybe like a lot of newspaper articles have elements of truth, like the location, right? there's a crowd, right? Maybe that's true, but like the rest of it is usually ideologically driven, and so I wonder how much of our news is directly programmed to move us in a direction. Like we think this kind of conflict will move people 5 or 6 percentage points towards digital ID. So we're going to do this conflict. It's going to last 6 weeks. It's going to go over the summertime, probably to coincide with the riots that were supposed to happen. But now the riots are screwed. Maybe they're changing their plans, but I don't know. But it seems it seems like they respond to us in a way that like the news responds to us. And if we start getting to, hey, is this Palantir thing going to, implement the digital ID we really don't want? And they're like, oh my gosh, Israel and Iran? Ah! And everybody just, or, whatever it is, something else, right? And we all just stop talking about this. You know what I mean? And instead focus on the next thing. It just feels like we're being manipulated. I feel manipulated.
Can we put digital ID on the drones and missiles?
Yes. It's the Internet of Things. How many drones?
Yeah. You look just like that other missile I saw.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's just, well. And
that's definitely racist, MC. That's very racist of you.
The other aspect of it is like digital ID and all of the control mechanisms that they're trying to implement. They need a reason to implement them. And so the whole reason to implement them is the invasion that they're orchestrating. So it's a very, like, they must know that we know what they're doing, right? And now that we know that what they're doing, they have to kind of change the game a little bit. That's what I mean by they respond to us. So we call them out on certain things, and then they're like, oh, here's the reason that we need to do blah, 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 or whatever. And again, I don't believe them, but it's really interesting watching a country be managed during a decline. And I mean, it's a measurable decline. Like we're way worse off than we were in 2015. And so, and nobody's really mad about it. And that's all weird. Like it's really, really, it's a strange situation. I don't know. I mean, we're mad, but like most people are mad. It's insane. Thanks, MC. Ryan.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I have my own view of the Iron Dome. I've never been to Israel, so I don't know for sure, but whatever I'm seeing on videos, it just looks like fireworks. Like to me, it looks like fireworks. That's all it is. It's fear mongering put fear into the people. Oh, look at the sophisticated missiles that are coming from Gaza, from Hamas. Look at all these missiles,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to go in and we got to bomb Gaza, right? So that's exactly what they're going to do here. That as soon as that gets set up, it's not going to cost what they say it is in the first place. They'll send some fireworks up and then put fear into the Canadian people, the U.S. people, and I like how you were talking about Palantir. Yeah, Palantir 2 weeks ago they were talking about 3 weeks ago, and mega people were questioning. Well, yeah, this is a good thing, but then they're questioning, going, oh, maybe this isn't a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because they can surveil us too. But the thing is with Palantir, it's in place now. It is in place.
Did they actually get the big beautiful bill passed? I didn't think that it had actually passed. I could be like, I don't know if it's actually passed.
I don't think the bill's passed, but it's in place.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just in place. They have it there. Then, well, yeah, they got Trump and Elon. They fight. Get the mines up. Get the mines of Palantir from that. Let's set up this Elon, Trump. Now we got Antifa. We got these riots. Now we got Iran. Nobody's talking about Palantir anymore.
Yeah.
So they're just
distractions.
They're building it. It's there, and that's what they want. They want to bring this. As soon as they get this digital ID, the CBDC, you're controlled. We're done.
Yep.
And that's exactly what they're doing.
My YouTube channel got returned to me. So I got my old YouTube channel back because Ron, thanks Ron, was like, hey man, you should probably check this because other people are getting their YouTube channel back. And so I checked it, got my YouTube channel back, and I've lost 100 subscribers since my YouTube channel has been reinstated. I haven't grown at all. I've lost 100 subscribers, and I get like my account, my small channel that I built after 4 years ago when they banned me, gets more daily views than and that's got 2,500 subscribers, than my channel with over 13,000 subscribers. So they're not showing me to anybody, right? Like they show me to some people and that's it. And like my show is search banned, like you can't find the show on YouTube. And I don't know why that is. But yeah, I like, just to lend credibility to what you're saying that they're already doing this. Yeah, they're already doing this. They've been doing this for years. They banned me 4 years ago and that's illegal. They shouldn't have been able to ban me, but they banned me. And the only reason they brought me back is because now either I'm no risk or they know how to manage the risk. They know they can just wrap up content they don't want seen and put it into a dark corner of the internet and nobody will ever see it. And so, and I wouldn't even know one way or the other. I wouldn't know. They'll put up numbers.
The fear mongering continues.
Yep.
The or measles and chicken pox. They're still trying to run that out. They are. And yeah, they're
throwing everything, monkeypox, measles, anything and everything at the wall. And is Noel at the store? Oh no, it's his fridge. Oh no, it's Steve. I thought it was Noel. Sorry, I thought it was you in the bottom corner on the show there, Noel. Go to the fridge to get a beer. It's Steve. Thanks, Ryan. Ron, get your hand up.
Well, I think it's all geared. It's all going to crash. We're going to beg for the AI, essentially. I don't know what the political parties are doing for us now. Like the whole budget thing is, like you pointed out in your show today, is kind of a farce, right? Like they're telling you have a plan, but we have no budget. We're sending money everywhere. Like it's a gong show, and it's accepted. It's really mind-boggling.
That's absolutely unbelievable. No, I have no idea.
Yeah, that's why. Like I would usually say that's disrespectful. I really, but like if it's not distress time, I don't. I don't know what else to do, right?
Yeah, no,
like I've been yelling for years. Like
so
I see it, and I've always appreciated your honesty to want it all to work and be wrong, right? Because that's always how I feel when I'm telling people the craziness I know. Like, I want to wake up tomorrow and be all wrong
totally
about
wrong
everything.
About it. Yes, I would love. I would love it if I was wrong.
But and like I'll be humble enough I'm probably wrong about half the stuff I think I know anyway, and that's fine too. But the trajectory is like it just boggles my mind how many people are occupied, and if they're not occupied with what they should be, they're so depressed and spun out in an uncontrollable way that I don't know what to do anymore. It's undeniably it's something else people are going through out there.
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. I think a lot of people try and control things that are out of their control, and the things that are out of their control, it's almost like cutting or almost like self-harm. The things that are in your control, you're like, F this, I'm going to drink too much because society's crazy. Instead of going the other way and saying society's crazy, so I'm going to be a temple of sanity. You know what I mean? I'm going to be a rock for myself to do things that are amazing for me. So the society falls away and I can self-actualize or something like that. But so many people are taught the victimhood mentality, the idea that if there's something wrong with you, then that's okay. Like you're broken. And it's like, well, yeah, of course it's fine if there's something wrong with you. But wouldn't you want to try and fix it? And if you could fix it, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Like I got this shoulder thing that's just like, you know what I mean? Like if there's a thing that you want to be better, then you could lean into that and be better and improve yourself. And so many people are taught not to do that, or are taught that there's no use.
I believe in that, Mark. I believe in that fully. I really enjoy that talk.
Yeah. Cheers, man. Thanks. Yeah. It's just, it feels like and I think that's part and parcel of like disconnecting us from what we are. Oh, this is what I was going to say. I think you said, Ron, that you think it's all going to collapse. I think if it all collapsed, they lose control. And I've heard things where if there's a big collapse, like decades-long collapse, and then they come out of their DUMBs or their bases and things like that, and they have extra technology that the people who have kind of made things work would cede power to because they'd just be overwhelmed with this technology. I've heard that, and that's plausible. But I think that within a short term, anyway, if things collapse to a level where the society doesn't work anymore, then they lose power and they have to go into hiding. They
for sure.
They're not in a situation where they can
maybe implode, self-controlled, like 9/11. No, it's all very. That's why I chose to stay in Canada other than family. It's going to be there's not going to be much chaos. It's going to be a very controlled. We're the king's queens experiment for a long time. I've seen the provisions going up in this country. We're so managed beyond belief. This social experiment we're in. I think we'll see some chaos in the States that they won't be able to control. Do you think Trump's probably a part of that, right?
Do you think they go to a full civil war?
It is the Thunderdome. We're Mad Max. I think you're going to see a city-state, state-by-state revolution in all regards through the U.S. that will somehow balance itself out. I don't know.
Like a color revolution?
Things are changing.
Yeah, but I know the narcissistic.
That's mechanisms of what's coming. Yeah.
But the people at the top don't. No, it's okay. I'll be quick. The people at the top don't get along with each other. These people who run things, the 80% and above, nice narcissistic psychopaths, they don't get along with each other. They fight for power. Like you watch these people in upper government. Like I know it because I know friends like that. They don't get along with each other, right? Like, so if you think
but they play on the board and they play by the same rules, right? Like there's a set of standards.
Yeah, to a degree. Okay. They all share.
You hear about Tucker Carlson talk about all his elite buddies who he doesn't agree with, and they're all clowns, but they're all buddies, right?
But they still share jet skis at their cottage. I get it.
Joke around and
No, I get it. I get it.
And it's dividing systems. They have different opinions, absolutely, and they're fighting for the supremacy. Right?
All I'm saying is those people, for the most part, don't get along, and they hang out in this weird society. They may swap jet skis and hang out with their kids and stuff, but there's a lot of stuff like I want to be more powerful than this guy. And,
it's like backroom politics.
I just don't want to hang out with people like that. So I don't want to hang out with people like that. Like I get to 80% of my life, in certain jobs and things like that, and I stay with the people who actually are cool. The rest of them, holy Jesus, there is a big mind within them, and I'm saying it's traditional. You see it day in, day out. That's all I'm saying, man.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Ron. Scott, and then MC, and then we got to go. It's 2:00. Scott.
The collapse is not going to be as you expect it. You've been nudged and conditioned to it. As from the time of my birth, as from 1971, you've been conditioned to accept a lesser standard of living, step by step by step. Mm-hmm. Why are they importing everybody from the third world? Is because that's the standard of living that the collapse will reach. You will have blackouts. You will have shortages. It will not be the complete, absolute fall of everything. There will still be glimmers of a higher standard of living. You just won't be allowed them. Number two, Steve, you're right. The cliques is not one monopolistic entity, the Illuminati trying to run everything, but they are like our government. They agree that there's a system that they operate from, and they can't shake that system too much. So they fight amongst themselves as who's got the best position on the steering wheel. The rest of us are just collateral. They cannot collapse us because there's too many of us right now. We've seen the depopulation again is to reduce the numbers needed for work production of the standard of living that they require, as well as to take our power away from us. I think that's it. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of wisdom there. Thanks, man. Thanks, Scott. MC.
Well, the kind of one of the bigger things that they won't let go to rest this week in Alberta was Danielle Smith the other day said that Canada has the lowest standard of living in the world, which is obviously not true. Obviously, she's misspoke, right?
Where did she say that? I want to hear that clip. Yep.
I heard the clip on the radio and stuff, but the main thing about it was how in Alberta they will not let that go. Danielle Smith said this, here's an academic to say how wrong she is, and then let's replay that academic 3 or 4 times a day for the end of for the whole week and everything like that. Like, just one more thing that came out of her mouth that could be used as a distraction, for the rest of the time to weaken her position, right? Yep. Although who knows what her actual game is.
I don't. I wish I did know, but I don't. But yeah, no, that's interesting. And she could have just said Western world, and that would have made her statement correct. Like, our GDP per capita growth has been like null, like zero. So it's pretty.
Yeah. Which is probably what she meant.
Yeah.
Or in terms of growth, we're behind the rest of the West, or something like that.
Something like that. And I mean, like, a good argument could be made for that. So, and I mean, Danielle Smith is a lot of things, but stupid is not one of them. And obviously there's third world. There's places that are fecalized. Like, that's obviously a lower standard of living.
Well, and then and then she did say something about per capita GDP after that.
Yeah.
And then the academic had to go on to explain why that's not a real good way to measure things. So
okay.
You shouldn't pay it.
Kenzie says that she misspoke and she clarified later. And so, yeah, it makes sense. They always, but again, I think that we play by one set of rules, like, the way I think politics works. The way a regular person thinks politics works and the way politics really works are very different. And the politicians play the people because they know their expectations are different than the reality. Does that make sense? And so we have these expectations, they're false, but the politicians play into them and we get what we expect, even though that's not the reality of it. But it is, because that's what we expect and that's what we're given. So yeah, and because of that, we miss out on things. You know what I mean? Like your parents say, what do you guys want to do? And you say something like, go for ice cream. And they would have gone for Disney World, but they're like, okay, here's the ice cream. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, if you had just known to ask for that higher standard, you would have gotten it. But because we don't even know, our expectations are here.
Free parking at parks for grandparents who buy motorhomes to take care of their kids for the summer, to give their kids a break. BC comes up with this thing. No, we're going to charge you $1 bazillion and we're going to patrol it on quads with ministry goofs. That never happened on Vancouver Island. Like, I watched all that happen. It was just terrible. It's just terrible. So I agree with you.
Yep.
At the same time as they set up makeshift camps at the rest areas and let people live there.
Yep. I know, right? It's diabolical what they're doing to us. And it's that kind of having these two things that creates this cognitive dissonance. Like, we can do this, but we can't do like this thing. We can't use the motorhome in the park, but we can set up an encampment in a highway rest stop. Insane, right? It's just insane. So we're being manipulated and we're being screwed, and we know it. And then game theory comes into play. They know that we know, and we know that they know that we know. And now we're all kind of blinking at each other, and they're saying, we're going to go to the G7 in Alberta. And that's it. That's where we're at.
But no white people in parks all of a sudden. That really burns my ass, man.
And it's very expensive, but not if you're not from here. Weirdly, right? Weirdly. It's a very, very strange situation. Okay, with that, we're going to wrap it up. So thanks, everybody, for watching on the stream, and we'll kill the stream, and we'll stop the recording. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time. And